I want to welcome everybody to the final Marine City Middle School Bands concert of the 2024-2025 year. I was thinking about it a little bit earlier, and it does not feel that long ago that I just started with all the students that are going to be on stage today, and we're already at the end of the year. So we're wrapping things up. We're hoping that tonight you're going to enjoy everything that we have. Our first song with the 6th grade band is called Entry of the Nobleman. And this is supposed to be a song that gets you thinking about a group of knights. They just went out. They're coming home with all the riches, and this is like the procession for them coming into town and returning from all of that. So to start our night off with the 6th grade band, here's Entry of the Nobleman. So there's a section back there that doesn't get featured a lot, especially in the 6th grade. So this next one is going to definitely feature the trombones. And I know our 8th grade trombone player is kind of upset that he's not part of this one. So this next one is Trombone Mambo. It's got a lot of a Latin theme, and if there's a few songs tonight that you might walk home and or drive home and that's going to be stuck in your head, this might be one of those pieces that might get stuck in your head. So we hope you enjoy this one. This is Trombone Mambo.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, let's calm down a little over here, please. It has been an absolute pleasure and a joy to work with the sixth grade band throughout this school year. As many of you know, Mr. Poley and I, we split the class. I headed up mostly the woodwind section. He had the brass and percussion. And then once we get closer to concerts, we kind of combine them together like this to get ready for it. It has been a great time this school year. You have a great bunch of kids, and they just, like I said, have been a pleasure to work with, and we look forward to having them over many, many years, hopefully, in our program. They're going to finish off their portion of the concert this evening with a piece called American Spirit March. It's obviously a patriotic piece, but it's a little more upbeat, and you can hear there's some little more complicated things going on with some of the finger work on this one as well. So they're going more to the advanced level on their playing with this one. And you're going to hear little quotes of Star Spangled Banner mixed in there as well. Hope you enjoy.
All right, so this next one is a little bit of a guilty pleasure of mine. I am myself a percussionist, and one of my favorite classes in college was percussion ensemble. The high school has a percussion ensemble, and after the fundraising concert we had a couple months back, I'm sitting there thinking, well, middle school isn't too early to start percussion ensemble as well. So the idea was to start out with something simple, for them to start to get used to some of the stuff they might expect in high school. And this piece actually uses 16 percussionists, but in the 7th and 8th grade, I only have 9. So 7 of the people that you see back there are not percussionists and have taken the time to learn the different instruments that they're playing and to join us to put this together. So this is called Fantasy in 2 Movements, and you'll see how the 2 movements kind of work the same and are a little different. They're different tempos, but the whole idea of this piece is simple parts, but everybody's parts kind of work together to create one piece of music, just like band music, but only with percussion. So here's Fantasy with in 2 movements. All right, let's welcome the 8th grade band out to the stage. And before the 8th grade band starts, we're gonna, well, it's just them on stage. Every year, the middle school band presents the Jim Noel Band Award. Jim Noel, if you were around the band program or in the band program in the 90s through most of the 2000s, Mr. Noel was the high school and middle school director for a while, and then towards the beginning of the 2000s, when they hired a dedicated high school director, he took over for middle school, and he was middle school band director till Mr. Fox took that position. So every year, in memory of him, the middle school band gives out to an 8th grader that shows strong musicianship and citizenship and leadership in the band, the Jim Newell Band Award. And this year's recipient is going to be Abigail Fainer. So our next piece we're just trying to have everyone play different types of music, and we're trying to come up with something that the 8th grade can do on their own as a smaller band, something they can have fun with, something that's different from most of the things they've played. So I figured, why not give them something that's jazz-based? So this next one is all about the blues. It took a lot of learning with some of the different rhythms and learning how to swing things in the style, and there are all kinds of different accidentals and things that they have to watch out note-wise throughout the whole thing, and they've put in a lot of work on this one, and I think it's come along pretty well. So this is all about the blues. All right, let's welcome the 7th grade onto the stage. So this, for the 7th grade, the one that I picked for them to do on their own is called Rhythmania. You can take a guess that it's very rhythmically based. It uses a lot of things we call syncopation, which is where the beat doesn't always feel like where the beat is because of the rhythm. This also turns everybody that you see on stage at some point into a percussionist, whether it is clapping or some of them are hitting pencils off of stands at times. And there's a lot of cool percussion parts in the back. So without any more delay, here is Rhythmania. So we're going to finish out the story written by Edgar Allan Poe called The Pit and the Pendulum. Without sharing too much about it, the main character has been imprisoned and finds himself with two dilemmas, one of which he has to get out of is a pendulum swinging towards him, slowly lowering, and the other one is the threat of being pushed into an endless pit. And this piece has been written to kind of give you the musical sense of what that might, if it were a movie, what might be going on during that time. So this is The Pit and the Pendulum, and our first piece with the combined bands. So getting close to the end, I wanted to do another fun one. Figure I'd pick something from a movie, and I had a lot of students saying, find something from Harry Potter, so I found something from Harry Potter. This one's from the Goblet of Fire. It's the fourth one. It has the main theme that you all know from Harry Potter, but it also has, if you've seen the fourth movie, the ballroom scene that they have, this is the ballroom dance that they used from that. So here is our second from the last piece tonight, Harry Potter from the Goblet of Fire. Before we conclude the night, I do have a little bit of a personal note for myself. I've had a very, very fun year being able to come in and work with all the students that you've seen on stage and students that weren't even or aren't band kids, but I've been able to work with throughout the year. It's been absolutely fun year. I do not regret any decision to come here and work with the kids on a temporary basis. So I do want to thank Mr. and Mrs. Fox for bringing me in. I do want to thank all of you for trusting me as your children's band teacher this year. I do want to thank all the students for accepting me into their classroom, and it's just been an absolutely great year for me. So with that being said, I hope everybody has a great night, and here's our last piece for you.